pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, those fighting a good fight in Ukraine, and the people of Nova Scotia as they are cleaning up from Hurricane Fiona. Thank you. Maureen?
Okay. Do I have any nominations for moderator?
I move to nominate Pete Bass as our moderator.
Okay, any second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Pete?
Thank you. I'd like to read the legal notice that was in the paper on September 16th. Town of New Milford warning special town meeting, September 26, 2022. Those qualified to vote in the town meeting in the town of New Milford are hereby warned and notified to meet at the New Milford Town Hall, 10 Main Street, New Milford, Connecticut, on September 26, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. in the E. Plumart Room for the following purposes to wit: to consider and act upon the following question: shall the town of New Milford expend COVID American Relief Rescue Act funds received from the United States Treasury as followed? Butterbrook roof, $90,000. Copy of said proposed expenditures are on file and available for public inspection at the office of the New Milford Town Clerk. Dated New Milford, 16th day, September 2022 as authorized. Do we have, Sal, any public comment?
Good evening. My name is Rocco Barberio. I live at 10 Brentwood Road in New Milford. My only question about Butterbrook, I understand they have a problem, they need a new roof. Is it town property?
We can't answer that.
Does the town own Butterbrook?
I can't answer it during public comment, but we can talk about it during.
Okay. Well, my question is, have they approached, if it's government-type property, have they approached the state or the federal government for the funds rather than the town? That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else from the public? Sal?
Nobody else from the public wants to speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions from the council? Okay, answer public, does anybody have any questions? Answer public comment that was talked about before. The $90,000 would go for roof repairs for Butterbrook, which is a HUD, meaning it's a federal government subsidized income for our seniors. It's affordable housing. We have a big shortage of affordable housing, whether it be to our seniors or to our regular population. They did receive a grant of about $1.7 million. Hasn't come through yet through the Build Back Better plan. And that came through Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy's office. We're waiting for those funds to come down that will help with ADA compliance, help with windows, bathrooms, and much needed things. As far as this particular request is, the management company doesn't have the funds available to do this work. The roof is in sore need of repair. If this wasn't to get done, what would happen is we probably would have to relocate some of the seniors that are there until they could raise the funds to get that. I think that would be detrimental to our seniors that are here, that are being, especially the ones that are affordable on a fixed income, limited income. So I think this would be a great use of our American Relief Funds, as it should be, to really help those in need. Yes, the Arpa money is federal money, not New Milford money, but it is all taxpayers' money. Okay, and seeing as we don't have any other questions, I'd like to call a vote on the approval of the $90,000 for the American Relief Funds for Butterbrook. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? And please note, none opposed. I'd like to entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
In a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. We will now be in recess till our regular meeting, which is at 7 p.m. for our regular town council. Thank you, everybody. First, lead us in the pledge, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, those fighting the good fight in Ukraine, and those people that are facing economic and sometimes life-threatening events from the hurricane that hit Nova Scotia. Thank you. Sal?
Yes, ma'am. We have Mike Nahum.
Mike?
Hi, Mike Nahum. Right now I'm living with my mom, so 25 Hickory Hart Lane in Milford. So with regret, I'm resigning from the town council. I'm no longer a resident of the state. First of all, I might go over 5 minutes, but I think I earned that right.
That's fine.
At this point. Just want to go through some of the processes and some of the thought process my wife and I went through to leave. I'm not leaving Connecticut. I feel Connecticut left me. 5 years ago, my wife and I risked a lot of our savings to resurrect the banquet business that was the cornerstone of the community, the health club. We did this because we love New Milford. We thought we'd spend the rest of our lives here. I own 2 businesses in town, and I'm currently building a new facility in New Milford for my small manufacturing company. So I still have, a lot of love for this town. Then COVID came and everything changed. The state did everything they could to bankrupt the club and other businesses. We were forced to close for over 3 months. When we were allowed to open, the state put so many restrictions on us, we lost money for another year. No one wanted to work out with masks, and the mandates they put on us just made it difficult. And people in Connecticut are just saying, oh, the governor's keeping us safe. He's doing a great job. Well, those people were getting a paycheck on a regular basis, not owning a small business, trying to survive. Thank God we're finally making money and we're in the red. I mean, we're in the black, but we have a lot of debt to pay off. All the stuff the governor did, the numbers in Connecticut aren't better than the rest of the country. So it just doesn't seem like anything worked. But, I feel our state just put being overcautious about COVID over everything. Mental health, physical health, the economy and businesses, and education. I feel we failed our kids who statistically were not at any risk of long-term problems with COVID. And I saw those kids a lot since I coached track. And the rules imposed and the virtue signaling was overwhelming, and it was just putting a lot of stress on them. That's the point where my wife and I just said, you know what, maybe it's time to leave, and we started looking. We both got COVID in November 2020, and we thought that just like the rest of the time, natural immunity was a good defense against getting a disease again. It's always been that way. All of a sudden, for some reason, it wasn't. Well, we felt it different. We both were strong, we work out, we eat healthy, and we felt that was enough to keep us safe. And a lot of data that's coming out now seems to back this up. But, and a lot of the other countries in Europe were using natural immunity in the restrictions. Basically, either you get the vaccine, or if you had COVID, you don't have to get the vaccine. That was listed, not in the US. The policies in Connecticut treated both my wife and I as lepers. We felt like 2.5 years later, a lot of the data that's coming out now is kind of backing us up. And looking at the younger ages, some of the stuff that we did that was done for kids, the risk reward for the vaccine at younger ages just, to me, didn't seem like it was worth it. But they were still forced to get it. At council meetings, I would try to argue the narrative, and I just felt like I was the only one that was really pushing against what was happening. All we were discussing was vaccine, mask, isolation. Nothing else was important. Not diet, supplement, exercise, getting outside, strengthening the immune system in a natural way. Now we know that narrative might not have been true, although we have all this data and it doesn't seem like we're doing enough to interpret the data. But we've had 2+ years of data and we're not going through it to see what worked and what didn't work. I think people are too afraid to find out what they want to do. But, we did find out that vaccinated people were spreading and getting COVID just like unvaccinated. And the isolation that we did caused so many mental and economic problems. And I was at the meeting, Republican-led Board of Education decided that the state mandate didn't go far enough. So what we're going to do, we're going to go beyond what the state wants and makes volunteers get vaccinated or tested on a regular basis. So a bunch of Republicans thought our Democratic dictator, which I thought he was for a while, did not go far enough, so he added to the overreaching mandate. At that point, I was like, you know what? I have a full-time job, and I'm volunteering to coach, and I have to do one more thing in order to get to practice. But it's for the kids, so I did it. It was worth it. And the freedoms in Connecticut, I feel like we've lost in 2.5 years are extraordinary. Forcing businesses closed when Walmart could be open, but the downtown businesses had to be shut, and bars could be open, bars and restaurants could be open, but regular bars couldn't be open. Nothing seemed to make sense. And now Connecticut lost its religious exemption in vaccines. That's completely gone. Whether people were using it as an excuse or truly it is the religious reason why they don't want to get a vaccine, you can't do it in Connecticut. It's gone. Medical freedoms are taken away. My body, my choice for abortion in Connecticut works, but not my body, my choice with vaccine mandates. Individualized medicine, I feel, was completely taken away. Healthy 19-year-olds that previously had COVID could not go to college without a vaccine. Pregnant mothers would lose their job, but they didn't get an experimental vaccine. And their doctors were afraid to tell them they shouldn't get the shot for fear of losing their license. Think about that. A doctor losing their license for looking at an alternative way to help their patient. It's just scary. And right now, and it's still a policy in Connecticut, if my wife was in the hospital, I cannot go visit her because I haven't been vaccinated. And that policy doesn't seem like they're going to change that anytime soon. You feel like the state doesn't want COVID to end because the control that they've got has been overwhelming, and they don't want to give us our freedoms back. 2 years later, our governor still has executive power for COVID. We, Connecticut, the Constitution state, I'll try and sum it up. We're the Constitution state, but we took away 3 branches of government, went with one single branch of government that was making decisions unilaterally from unelected bureaucrats. And that's a lot of people call that a dictator in many places. And you know what? I think the people of Connecticut are going to continue with what has been happening because I think he's going to get elected again. So, hey, as I said, I still have 2 businesses in town. We'll live here half the time. I'm building an apartment, and I still will pay a lot of taxes because I have 2 businesses that have a lot of property. But you know what? Unless I see some fight from the people in Connecticut and in Milford, I'm just not sure how much longer I'll stay here. We have to start thinking about fighting back. If at this point you're not at least asking questions about the government has done the last 2.5 years, then I'm not sure the future here is that promising. Thank you, and I appreciate all the time that you guys give me.
Thank you, Mike. Okay.
Are you ready for me? Good evening, everyone. Jeffrey McBrady, 288 Kent Road, New Milford, Connecticut. Usually when I'm standing here, I got something that I read and then I set back down. But I want to try to wing it tonight, and I've never winged it before, so be patient. I'm here as a person that's known Mr. Murphy for 7 years. But in the 7 years, I've got to know a whole lifetime about Mr. Murphy because he's a member of the American Legion in New Milford, and he's a very, very productive, positive individual in our organization. And I've seen nothing but positive efforts for anything that he's ever tried to do pertaining to the town and the 30,000 citizens that live here. And I think that that's a positive testament to him, that he cares enough about the town of New Milford and its people that he stepped up to be on different commissions and stuff, and now he was duly elected to the town council, and I believe that he's going to be a very viable part of the town council in the future. And he didn't sign up to be a town council member as a Republican. He signed up to be a town council member, Paul Murphy. And I think that that's the way that everybody should think as members of the town council. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other whether you're a Democrat or Republican, or if there was an independent or even an unaffiliated. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is if every single person that sits on the town council has to do what is in the best interest of 30,000 people. Now, a couple of years ago when the previous mayor, when the whole situation was reversed and we had a democratically controlled town council, it didn't appear to me, from the most part, that that's the way things went. But we got two fine ladies here as representing the Democratic Party, plus Mary Jane Lundgren, who was at home representing the party, and I appreciate their input. But I wish that their input and the input of all the Republicans on this council would be in the best interest of the people of New Milford and not in the best interest of a word like Democrat, Republican, or Independent. Okay, that's all they are just words. And they could be put on the shelf, and we could do what's best for the town of New Milford. And so far, I have seen nothing but good things come from the town council as a whole. Sometimes, whether it's a Republican vote or a Democratic vote, there are times when the vote doesn't go exactly the way some people want it to. But it's in the vote with what the people's mind think is best for the town of New Milford. And I would hope that that would be what it would always be, what is in the best interest of our town. Because our town is only going to grow as well as the people that are on this here town council. And if the people on the town council make sound, viable decisions, we're going to go places. And the mayor always alludes to the fact that this is the best little town in the whole USA, and I agree. I agree. Democrat, Republican, Independent alike, we are the best little town. Now, I was on the Green Saturday for Apple Fest and a couple of other things that went on, and it was amazing the amount of people that flowed through that area on Saturday. So that shows you that the people are out and are concerned, and the mayor was there, and he was very presentable to anybody that wanted to talk to him, which I think is good. And I think that Mr. Murphy is one of the people that's going to do good things for the town of New Milford. If you give him the chance, he will do good, because I've known nothing but good from him since I've known him in 7 years. And like I said, I've learned a lifetime about Mr. Murphy in 7 years, and there has been nothing negative that I know of. And he has a cabin in upstate New York, but he hasn't invited me yet. But he's invited other members. So if you give Mr. Murphy a chance, everybody, he'll do a good job. And I'm sure that if he wasn't doing a good job for the town of New Milford, he'd be the first one to say he's not doing the job, and he'd step down. So give him a chance, please, I ask you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
No more speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Katie?
Okay, moving on to item 3, consent agenda. Make a motion to accept item 3A, the prior minutes, item 3B, tax collector balance, and item C, 3C, which is the New Milford Youth Agency, requesting permission to accept a $5,000 grant awarded by the Capital Region Education Council and the Connecticut State Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, Problem Gambling Services. The grant will be used to support the youth agency's student video program to expand the youth and gambling awareness media project in Connecticut.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
Don't you add a motion to the minutes?
That's,
The one that was not in the minutes?
Pardon?
Don't you want to add the motion that was not in the minutes to the minutes?
I didn't suspend the rules to add anything. We only need to make note of it, and it goes in the record that we made note, right?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Next is the update from Dr. Levin. Dr. Levin. Thank you for coming tonight, sir.
I'm going to do that now.
Take your time.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much for inviting me. This will be the last time I address the Council with regard to COVID. So I want to thank you first of all. I've given you a report and I'm happy to answer questions on it. The report, for those of you here in the audience, basically details the fact that the administration has declared that the pandemic is now on its back legs, and that there is now a time for us to say, let's move on. I would like to draw attention to something that Jeff McBriarty just said, and it's going to come right out of this. You could have written this, actually, because the response of this town is remarkable. And what I'd like to say is, in the event that you have the report, it's there, it describes one salient fact, and I make only one appeal. Please, keep on getting vaccinated. It's crucial. So if you'll allow me 2 minutes to address you, I'm going to read this, probably because I can't remember what I'd really like to say. I've been traveling the world. I've seen COVID in over 15 different countries. I've seen it in a country in a state of war, Ukraine. I've gone to a country in, the only major place I haven't been to is to see it in Africa. I hear it. But I've been to the Middle East, I've been to Europe, I've been to Australasia, and I've had a chance to really take a hard look at it. What I can say to you is that despite the fact that President Biden has said that we're at the end of the pandemic, it's really more important that we draw a breath and reflect on the lessons that we learned over the last 2+ years. And I respect Mike a lot. I liked his comeback at me, particularly was on the council, maybe a bit frightened at times because he was pretty passionate. But he, like many, have lost economically, and I understand the pain that that means. But let's remember that in this period, over 1 million Americans have died directly as a result of the pandemic. That is more than all the wars, all the soldiers have died in all of our wars that we can remember. And that death rate, while it's petering off, is still going on, but it's in a different phase now. But 1 million Americans die. That's astonishing. We didn't do it right. I can tell you that's over 10 times more per capita than Australia, many times more than Switzerland. And the only comparable places that I could find were ridiculous countries in the middle of nowhere where they had nothing, and they had slums, and we were dying like them, which is just unacceptable. But I think what were the lessons that we learned? And this is really to your point, which I thought was so great. It took the combined efforts of all of the town, its residents and its institution to combat this scourge, without which perhaps many more in our community would have died. Under the leadership of the mayor, who didn't look left or right, but acted, we all worked together, irrespective of our differences, beliefs, party, or background. This demonstration of unity and purpose in New Milford, independent of the pressures of outside press, politics, and other influences, is truly an example of what is best in America. Our community was one, indivisible. Our town, there were different opinions, but our town acted effectively and decisively against a backdrop of what I think can only be described as national anguish, confusion, and uncertainty. Most importantly, and this is most importantly, the town made decisions based on facts on the ground, with compassion for the fellow residents, and I think really remarkable selfless bravery on the part of many who faced an enemy which was unknown, and at the time unknowable, and I remember very well, terrifying for many of us. It was a hidden enemy, COVID-19. So that enemy is contained for the moment, but it's left its mark on all of us, and I bet you every single person in this room, in this town, in this state, has a mark on their soul. It's had an effect on our community and our economy. And I'm guaranteeing you, just like those who went through the wars, where they fought in the trenches and fought against enemies they saw, we'll not be the same again. I fought, Paul, you fought, you gentlemen have fought. You never, ever forget it. You don't want to talk much about it, but you don't forget it. So I hope the lessons learned through dealing with COVID will strengthen our ability to deal with what's to come in the future. We showed that whatever crisis we're facing, by uniting, focusing on facts, not rumor, irrespective of our personal differences of opinion, and carefully guiding our decisions by the needs of our community, coupled to compassion for our fellow residents, we're at our strongest. I think there's little doubt of that. These lessons were learned through following the leaderships of key members of our community who I grew to know, which really was a pleasure. And I want to personally thank all of them, if I may. There's a long 25-page list. As a resident of the town for 35 years, I just celebrated my marriage of 37 years, sorry. I just celebrated my 35th wedding anniversary, which we got married up on our farm. That was Monday. And I ain't going anywhere. This is just the beginning. And I want to thank these residents and these people for their selfless service. And I'm going to miss many names. And I see Lisa's not here. She promised to be here to help me with the names that I'd miss. So even more than the names, I'm going to miss working with you guys. You're fantastic. So it's been an honor to be invited, Mayor, to talk. So I think we, as residents, owe a deep debt of gratitude. Deep debt of gratitude and thanks to Katie Francis, remarkable. Our health director, Lisa Morrissey, and former health director, Mike Cressman. Heidi Belcher, and I know you always forget about administration, but it's really important, Jennifer Lewis. Our police department, and particularly Chief Ceruto, behaved in a way that I've never seen, and when I've gone to other towns, he was a profound example. The new Milford Fire Department and Fire Chief Marshal Reynolds, astonishing, really leaned in. The new Milford Community Ambulance and board member Donna Hesp, really remarkable service. New Vance rose to the occasion, and particularly Dr. Kubatian. I keep on getting his name wrong. He's probably going to come back at me and say he's going to pronounce my name weirdly, but it's okay. We're friends and become very good friends. New Milford, I know we heard about the Board of Education, but we have to thank them, the teachers, the paraeducators, the administration, the staff, and the bus drivers. The bus drivers did enormous service. Our churches, synagogues, mosques, and community leaders laid in. And Paul, the veterans of this town are a foundation to it. You and I have talked about this. I tell you one thing, go to the cabin, but don't ask him to teach you how to shoot with a pistol. That's a real rule. And finally, those who take care of our elderly. And lastly, and most importantly, Mayor Pete Bass, remarkable mayor, and the new Milford Town Council. As a resident, I thank you all. You are remarkable leaders, and it's been my privilege to work with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor, I don't know what to say to you. You've done a tremendous job here for the town of Milford. You've stepped up as a volunteer. You've been here meeting after meeting, giving reports on the COVID epidemic. I've known you as a friend. I don't know how this town could ever repay what you've done for us in a 2-year period. And I'm sure that the rest of the people feel the same way. It's outstanding what you've done.
My pleasure. I'm just a resident, and like others, we lean in, many others.
Chris?
Yeah, I'd like to add, Dr. Levin, that, you know, the service you provided this community, to me as a council person, trying to wade through this unknown, and to have you as a resource and you look on to other places for resources, but for you to step up locally and provide your expertise certainly helped me understand things better as each issue came up, and I just can't thank you enough. Your service is, we might put a statue for you out on the greens. So.
I ain't going anywhere.
Thank you.
And I'm here, and if you want to come pick apples and chase the cows, come on over. No, then you can have my notes with pleasure.
I'll send it. And Dr. Levin, personally want to thank you for everything. Thank you for your leadership and helping us as we were migrating through the worst of the pandemic. Also, you chaired our long-term strategy for COVID, and you're also one of our delegates for our health district. So I can't thank you for all the many things that you do for our community. It's with much thanks, both from the council and from our community. Can't thank you enough.
It's a small piece to give back for what I already got from the town. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 5, mayor's comments.
Thank you, Katie. I'll be as quick as I can. First of all, for those celebrating the Jewish New Year tonight, ending tomorrow, blessings on Rosh Hashanah, and also wanted to welcome the new cantor, Guy Bonet, who was installed on 9/19. I was at the synagogue for his installation, so welcome to New Milford. Also want to congratulate our new youth agency advocate, Maria Leo. She joined the team today, so we wish her well. She'll be helping our youth. You'll see her here at the town council meetings, and she's going to be bringing our youth leaders to update the town council. Also wanted to thank Pat Hembrook from my office for Apple Fest. She did a wonderful job. And also Ivan Schiffman, who was the chairman of this year's Alzheimer's Walk that was brought back to New Milford. And they had about 472 walkers, which was pretty amazing to raise funds for Alzheimer's. Also wanted to thank New Milford High School Band Director David Sizdek, the Band Parents Organization, the volunteers, also the New Milford Green Wave Band for this year's home show. It was an outstanding performance. Obviously, they couldn't be judged because it was their home show, but they did a phenomenal job. I thought they were the best band anyway. And I want to thank Judge Lamgrebe as we were both able to present the awards to the actual winners of their performances. Also want to thank Troop 31 Scoutmaster Don Brieger. Troop 31, it's the American Legion that sponsors the troop, as we just honored James Galbraith, as he now is one of our newest Eagle Scouts, and his parents, James Jr. and Jessica, for yesterday's Court of Honor. I know Councilman Murphy was there, and also we had Mr. Greco. He was there representing the Legion. We had State Representative Buckby there as well to well wish our new Eagle Scout. And it's amazing that post, how many Eagles have come out of there in this past year alone. And it's a testament, if you ever get a chance to go to these Court of Honors, to see what they've already done in their young lives already. I mean, they're going to be our true leaders moving forward. So again, congratulations. Want to thank the New Milford Gridiron Club, Athletic Director Keith Lipinski and Principal Manka. As our first home game, we played South Windsor. That was dedicated to first responders, so thank you to our fire department, police department, ambulance that were all there. When New Milford had a very good game, won 42-6, so each time they scored, you had all the sirens go off, and it was pretty cool, especially for the first game. I want to thank Hill and Plain PTO for their fall festival. That was on the same night. I was able to stop in there and see all the youngsters having fun, whether they're petting goats or playing on the playground or having some delicious food provided by the PTO. So thank you for all that. Also, Family and Children's Aid Director of Operations Kevin McNeilis, Family and Children's Aid Board of Directors, Major League Baseball players alumni. We're bringing back the Major League Baseball Legends and Life Skills Clinic, which is going to be on the 29th which is a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I want to thank Keith Lipinski and Principal Manka for allowing us to use the high school ball field. It's a free event for your youngsters. We did it a couple of years ago. It's a great chance to get some tips from some former Major League Baseball players. Pretty amazing. I want to congratulate Coach Jay Singh, the rest of the coaches in the Milford cricket team, as they made the playoffs this year. This is their second year in the league, and they were in the playoffs. They did lose over the weekend, so they were out, but they made the playoffs. They continue to grow cricket here in New Milford, and outstanding work to Jay and all the coaches. And with the help of the council and the public, we've created a cricket pitch there and a batting cage so they can continue to grow the organization there. I know in speaking with the American Cricket Association, they're very pleased with how we've come so far as a town, and they're going to continue to do some more stuff. We actually had over the summer the #1 youth coach in the world come and talk to from, I believe he's from New Zealand or Australia, came to talk to the cricket players. Amazing. And I found out cricket is the fastest growing sport in the world. So, hats off to Jay and his team as well. Also, I wanted to welcome our 3rd class of the New Milford Police Academy. They started last week. I want to thank Chief Ceruto and Officer Toro, who will actually be running the programs. And it's great to see our Citizens Academy, as well as our cadet program, doing so well. And briefly, for the month of ending September and October, we still have a lot of events going on in town, which a couple people have talked about it already today, especially during public participation. So next weekend, this Saturday starts off Riverfest, and that will be this Saturday and this Sunday, and a very exciting event that we'll see. There'll be plenty of, there'll be goats, there'll be rabbits, there'll be lots of food. There'll be fried dough, exactly, fried dough happening. And we also have some of small businesses will be there as well, so you can look at that. And we'll also have a lot of community nonprofits there, I believe face painting and whatnot. So please come down to Youngsfield to check out Riverfest.
Opens at 11 a.m. both days.
Yep, and I believe 9 p.m. on Saturday, and I believe it's 4 p.m., 4 or 5 p.m. on Sunday. I believe that it is.
6.
Or it's 6? Okay. All right, so 6 p.m.
No excuse not to come.
Absolutely. Continue on our road program. So that's kind of winding down as we speak. And currently the roads that we did work here, and then I'm going to jump back to the events real quick. But anyway, we've done the east end of Hine Road, Elena Drive, Twin Ridge, Twin Brooks, Violet Hill, Creamery, Dodd, Cedar, Squash Hollow, Lover's Leap, Taylor, Bonnie View. We continue to work on Chapin Road. That's just about completed. River Road, we've been replacing the catch basin tops, and we'll be working on putting down both coats of asphalt and having that completed. So we did a lot of work so far on these roads this year, and thank you to our contractors and our DPW team as we continue to work there as well. We also did some drainage work on Squash Hollow as well. It was kind of challenging, but they did that as well. And I'll be up to your road tomorrow, Rocco, to take a look at what's going on up there as far as the grass. So we'll take a look at that. As far as bridges, we're continuing to work right now on Chernirsky, the temporary bridge. They put in the abutments and also put in the cement for some of the walls. And we're looking at putting in that temporary bridge, from what I understanding, weather dependent, towards the beginning of next week. So that one is done, will be done shortly. We've also done the Tamarack Bridge this year. We've done the Gaylord Bridge, which is open, looks beautiful. And we also did the Mud Pond Road Bridge. We had our first public hearing on the Mariel Bridge. And we're going to continue to have a couple more as we go through the design phase there as well. Also, Upland Road Bridge, we're getting the inspection contract, and that will be up and be complete. Connecticut DOT is continuing the design work on the Sand Bridge and Van Car Road bridges. We're continuing work on the Brookside Road Bridge. WMC is preparing the funding application for the Housatonic Avenue Bridge. We're looking for state funding for that bridge as well. And Connecticut DOT is finalizing the design contract for the Wheaton Road Bridge. As we all know, we have numerous, I thought we had 62, Jack says we have 70 bridges here in New Milford. Some of them in sorely need of repair. They haven't been really taken care of, and we're looking at, as we have for the roads, building that infrastructure up to where it needs to be. And I'll continue to update the council as we continue to move forward. Also on the high school work, the kids are in schools we've talked about before. We still had those 3 classrooms that were sequestered, as they were the ones that were directly underneath where the fire was, and those were sequestered, and Belfort was continuing the work. They're almost done. They've continued the drywall sanding and priming of that. They put up all the sheetrock on Friday. They're going to continue with the painting. September 30th is the tentative date for the full completion of those 3 classrooms. They've done the work on the roof, and we've signed the contract with Greenwood Industries, which is what the bonding company for the former contractor had wanted as their representative to do the work. So I know they were out there visiting, and they're going to begin their work on finishing the standing seam work, which is about 40% to completion, and I'll update the council as we move forward on that. Continuing on with some of the other projects that we've got going on, the energy program that we continue to do in tandem with the Board of Education. They put in the new boilers at the high school. They put in the cogeneration plant at the new high school. The solar is going to be put on in the police department, Sarah Noble School, Hill and Plain School. They're working on those as well, and the ambulance. And as we all talked about before, this particular program, we're using the savings that we would have in our energy to pay for these capital equipments. Already installed at Sarah Noble are the new chillers that were required and needed by them. That's about a $15 million project that we're going to use the savings of the energy to pay that off for that much needed capital that needed to get done. And I'll continue to update the council as we can continue to move forward with that. Century Brass, that's the thing that just never seems to go away. As we continue with remediation, the final draft of the site closure plan is being reviewed and will be submitted to DEEP and the EPA. Jack and his team is doing that. Also, they're working on the site plan submission for the DPW facility that we want to move from where it currently is to the Century Brass site. They're working on that as well. They are creating their RFP for the MS4 planning support. On the dams, the reservoir dam, they're working with engineering. They sent out an RFP for the engineering design on reservoir, which we appropriated $1.2 million of Arpa funding for that. Beta, which is the contractor, is continuing the final design for the Route 7 sidewalks, and also those sidewalks that will come down from Canterbury School into the downtown. And once that's completed, I will update the council with that as well. We'll actually ask Beta to come in and update the council once they're done with that. As you'll see on here as well as a request from the Board of Education, their capital items is the Scaticope septic system engineering support from CCA. And also SLR, which is one of the engineering firms, is working on the Riverfront grant application. We're also reviewing the opportunity in Patriots Way to have some electric car charging stations put in, and we're continuing to work to see about getting some grant opportunities for that as well. And real quick, I'm sorry, Katie, going back to the events, Junk in the Trunk is the Milford Grad Party fundraiser, and that's on the 16th of October. And that's it. Man.
Want to get some water?
Yeah, I think I'm going to.
Item number 6, you want to squeeze?
No, go ahead.
Excuse me, you want to get a drink of water?
Yes, could I? Thank you.
Please go.
Go.
I'm going to give it just a minute, guys.
I'll wait, I have
Thank you.
questions.
Bye, guys.
See you guys. Hey, Murph, did you pay him with cash or check?
I paid him with cash.
Stop paying on the check.
Drinks.
That's one way to stop talking, have a chocolate.
Hmm?
That's one way to stop talking, have a chocolate.
That's right. Should have thought to bring a bottle of water.
Are
him.
public meetings recorded? Do we know? Are they recorded like
The
the public meeting? So I was wondering if the Mariel Bridge public meeting was recorded. Do we know?
Don't know.
I-
Yes,
I'll look
it's
it up.
on the town's YouTube page.
Thank you, thank you.
He hears everything.
Well, you have a microphone.
We have a microphone.
You have a microphone in front of you.
We have it in adjournment, so all mics are off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fine. That's fine. Don't swear. I knew that.
Up. Leaving us like flies. What time is your arm?
Just tenderize.
Comes and goes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Huh?
You're left-handed.
Yeah, I think it's from golf.
That's as good an excuse as you need as any, you know? I mean, I'd use it.
Yeah. It's not from getting old.
No, of course not. Nope, I'm sure it's not. Didn't you and Kathy just celebrate 35 years?
40.
Oh, 40. She must have been, what, 6th grade when you got married?
Yeah. We were pretty young. Not big, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to go all the way downstairs for that water?
Yeah, you don't have a water fountain up here. Here he comes. Yes, there used to, well, yes, there was a bottled water thing there. But I don't know
Thank you,
why.
everybody.
Better?
Oh, much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Before you move on, can we ask the mayor a couple of questions?
absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, so I have two. One is, can we hear about the status of the library by any chance?
Absolutely. So the library currently still under construction. We had some material shortages. One of them is being the railing that makes us ADA compliant in the front. We got some of it as of today, and I believe they put up a little bit of it, right, Katie?
Yeah, 1 or 2 sections.
1 or 2 sections, but we're still missing some of those sections as they're trying to build that. There's still some lighting controls that still have not come in, that are part of the process. Talking with a contractor, hopefully they'll be in the next week or two. I had our IT director go in and kind of give it a once-over for the network itself. There's some additional networking things that we need to do. Some of the cables are longer than they should be, so we're looking to get some shorter ones, because what's happening is the weight is actually pulling them down. So we want to make sure that those are all compliant as well. And then there's some of the touch-up stuff that's in the middle portion of the library that's already done, so some paint touch-ups, some of that stuff. And then they're actually still continuing to work in the 1897 portion, which is actually continuing with some drywall work. There's a beautiful stained glass piece that's going to be inserted into the wall, so they're working on making sure that that's can provide the stability for that, the lighting in the backdrop, so they're still working on those particular pieces as well. We're hoping for most of this to be completed within a month or so, but it's just really going to be dependent on the materials and when they can come in.
Okay. There are rumors about why people can't go in, that no one's allowed in for whatever reason.
Because it's not safe. It's not compliant. We don't have a certificate of occupancy because there are other, as the mayor mentioned, some of the ADA railing outside. There are some things inside that need to be done, and as in putting anything together, if you're not able to get this piece you can't put this piece on top of it. So the staff is working on what they can work on in there, but people are picking books up out on the street.
Right.
On
We
Whittlesey.
were-
That's all, just
Yeah,
putting to
in the
rest.
beginning, we were trying to see if there's a way that we could do that, but in speaking with our insurance carrier, obviously, having public come in a working zone really isn't what
Right.
they want to
I
deem
know,
as a
yeah.
risky
Right.
situation. And then when we were doing the vestibule, Fire Marshal Reynolds came in and said, look, that's just not fire safe. So that's why we kind of had to make the change in that
Great.
respect.
It's good, because I think people need to hear it from you directly.
I think people should understand that no one wants that library to open more than the people who've been working on it for over 20 years to have it happen. And I'm one of them, so I can
know.
tell you. If
So-
there was a way, Alex, it would be open
no,
today.
no.
The design was ADA compliant. It's just that we've had a delay on the materials.
Correct.
The design
Oh,
was
there was
totally.
nothing,
oh,
no,
so
no,
it's
all of that was
delay
there, but the
from
whole thing
materials,
is you
right.
have to have the
Okay,
things
so
that
as
make it
time
safe.
went by, the landscaping, especially on the back, people are concerned because there isn't anyone whose job it is to take care of them. So now, because I guess it used to be whoever did maintenance, but they're not there because the library's not
And
open.
what's happening is the outside landscaping, so the property itself, that's gonna be Park and Rec's gonna be taking care of that. They do mow it, but when we kind of segued it out with the fencing,
Right,
once that's put back up, they're gonna come in, they're gonna redo the, putting the mulch down and all that stuff. Now, the actual facade, because it's brick, that would be done by, a contractor like a Sinopoly or somebody.
yeah.
Then the inside is facilities. One of the things that I had to talk to Jack about when I first became mayor, there was different silos. There'd be, whether it be a private contractor or somebody else would do different ones. So we're putting it all underneath facilities, like it would be any company, so you just call facilities people,
Right.
and they take care of it. So they're in there now, facilities are doing things, and then they're also gonna have to learn all the new equipment that's in there, new boilers,
Right.
new lighting, all those controls that are in there, state-of-the-art stuff, so
Awesome.
they're gonna be
That's
handling
great.
that.
It's just, people are concerned, they're
Absolutely.
watching, everybody loves the library, they want
Absolutely.
everything to be taken care of, so I get asked questions.
Right, and we wanna make sure when it is open to the public,
Yeah, it looks,
The last thing was
Exactly.
that
One
not
last
have
right.
something the
I
way it
have one
should be.
last library question, which is, is it the same linear footage for books, or are we having to get rid of some books? Well, or was that ever not?
Actually, as a normal process, books are culled all the time. So before they moved them out of the library, before we started,
Yeah.
they culled out. But they've received books throughout this whole period. And will there be more or less? I think there's more.
More linear footage for books, or the same,
Yeah,
comparable, so we didn't
yeah,
lose?
I'm not thinking of it so much in footage, but I understand what you're saying. I believe that there will be a higher number of volumes. Let me put it that way.
Great, thank you
How
so
they-
much for the
Whether
answers.
they're in line or not, I don't know.
awesome. And then my other question has to do with the sidewalks, which you mentioned again. When did we get the money and where did it come from?
money came from, it's actually 2 grants.
Okay,
The one grant where you'd have it's called a connectivity grant, which would be the ones that are gonna go by Pettibone. That was all state-funded money.
and
The,
we have that money
oh yeah,
Okay.
the state,
Since-
state's already done that.
for a long time?
Yep.
Well,
Okay.
in a year or two.
And COVID had set back the engineering of the design work, which is beta. And then the other ones, which is gonna run across the high school, gonna run up part of 7, and then you got them coming down here. That's mostly state funding, and then there's a match that we have to put in. And that right now is gonna be about $400,000, maybe more, depending on when they come up with the final cost. Obviously, everything's gone up in price.
Right.
And we'll know more about that probably in the late winter to spring as they start doing the actual work.
Okay, so the state funding came through which mechanism, do you know?
Came through, this was during Mayor Grombach's time, so it was a grant. I can get you the
Was
name
it
of the
a
grant.
steep? Was it a steep?
No. This was a Connecticut DOT. It was a pedestrian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pedestrian.
I'll get you
something.
the actual name
It's
of
just
it.
nice to know where the money's coming.
Yeah,
Okay.
state of Connecticut.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
we got to choose.
Correct,
Right,
and we did a
We got to
couple-
choose where, there were a couple of options where they would do it, and so that was chosen.
Got it.
And we did, I believe, 2 public hearings as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the public could put their input in on
Yep.
that as well.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, Katie?
Okay. Item number 6, I'd like to move to approve the following appointments, and before I start, is it okay if we do all three together, you guys, over there, Hillary?
Sure.
Yep, okay. Item number 6, move to approve the following appointments. The Cultural District Committee, which is a temporary committee, Olga Rella, her term would be September 26th of 2022 through February 14th, 2023. To the Film Commission, appointment of Lynn Priest as an alternate. Her term would be September 26, 2022 through January 31st of 2026. On the Arts Commission, appointment of Carolyn Hyde as an alternate, and she's filling a vacancy. And her term would be September 26, 2022 through January 31st, 2024.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Okay. Item number 7, to move to approve the following road closures. 7A, from the Women's Club of Greater New Milford, they request the closure of the Southern Green crossover on November 5th, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the annual Operation Thanksgiving Food Drive for holiday baskets. All three of these are pending traffic authority. 7B, from the Mayor's Office, is requesting the closure of the Southern crossover on Saturday, October 29th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Church Street, just for 10 minutes at the start of the Halloween Sidewalk Parade, just for public safety. And 7C, the Parks and Rec, is requesting the closure of both crossovers of Main Street North and Main Street South on October 29th, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for trunk or treat.
Second?
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 8, I'd like to move to approve the request from Chairman Wendy Fallenbach, Chairman of the Board of Education, to take up to $20,000 from the Board of Ed Capital Reserve account for the wastewater management plan for the Scatticoke Middle School
Yep.
septic.
Second?
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? And this will go, right, Greg, to the Board of Finance?
Yes.
Yep, for their approval. Thank
Up to
you.
20,000, right, good. Item number 9, I'd like to move to approve the use of $30,000 from the nip bottle deposit funds for Phase 1 of subsidizing the New Milford Town bulky waste returns, plus adding to that will be a free nip bottle disposal.
Second?
Thank you, Chris.
For those who
Is
don't
Mr.
know,
Hannah here?
they're those little bottles, like anybody could not know.
Thank you, Bob. Kind of the timeline for this was we talked about this at the last town council meeting. I'd asked to recycle your thing that the council is looking at here Sunday. So that's why we have this today, and kind of highlighting, and then I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Hannah. These particular funding from nip bottles is a required deposit that's non-refundable for these little nip bottles, Sal. So it's like the little liquor bottles are about this big, they're littered everywhere. And this was used, this program, to really help get rid of some plastics, get rid of garbage that aligns not only our roadways, but also our river courses, our roads. Those that have been here a long time know a lot of stuff gets dumped on River Road, gets dumped up in Gaylordsville. So I talked to Bob, because this is his business, this is what he does every day. I said, Bob, what could we do? Could we do something that could really affect most of our residents, you know, in a positive way when it comes to recycling? Is there a way we could do what was done years and years ago, kind of a bulky waste free day, so to speak? So he's like, well, let me take a look at it. So we went back and looked at the maps. We had our recycling committee, and we first thought, could we really do the whole town because we're so large in 1 year? So Bob said, let me think and let me go back to it, and he did, and he came back to the recycling committee and said, I think I have the ability, as we start these phases, for New Milford primary residents that own a home to do a coupon, so to speak. And we can start with $20. So first thing I'm thinking is like $20. Well, what can that get us? Well, Mr. Hanna, that could get somebody to turn in a sofa, right, for free rather than dumping it on the road. And how many sofas do you normally get in now?
We do about 600 sofas a year.
Bed they can turn in?
I'm
They
sorry?
turn in a bed, right?
Bed, mattresses, we do between 40 and 70 a week.
Refrigerator?
A week,
Gotta be
yes.
40 to 70 mattresses a week.
Mattresses and
For
box
anybody who
springs
missed
per
it the
week.
first time. Just think about that.
Refrigerator, freezer,
Refrigerator, freezers.
air conditioners?
Free on items, we do close to 700 a year.
And those qualify for
Those would all qualify for this program.
for free.
For free. Well, up to
Well,
$20. So like a
$20
Freon item, because of the removal of the Freon,
Yep.
that's why the cost is so expensive. But it would, the $20 would go towards that. So in other words, a refrigerator would cost $15 to get rid of, instead of the 35 that it is now.
You get X number of kitchen cabinets.
So also,
They have to bring it
Washers,
down.
dryers.
Yeah, washer, dryers.
You can
microwaves.
arrange for pickup.
Dishwasher.
At a discounted rate.
but a washer and dryer, that's
Washer and dryer together would be free, because they're $10 each.
dishwasher?
Dishwasher's $10. So you could take a dishwasher and a washer, a dishwasher and a microwave,
Or a dishwasher and a wood stove,
or a dishwasher and a wood stove.
Also,
or a recliner.
Correct, recliner. And
The
still have
list
$2
is-
left
The
over.
list goes on.
yep, and there's an extensive list that the council could see, and we'll make sure that it gets in the minutes.
Those are all the items that are on our fee flyer. So I went through that pretty quickly, and you can see what the
And then
result is.
also, I'll turn it over to the council in a minute, Bob, but also, part of this program is, if somebody wants to, instead of throwing them out in the street, they wanted to put them in a little bag themselves, or a big, huge bag, you're gonna take those for free.
Correct. The one thing you have to know about the nip bottles, and as far as the recycling of nip bottles, is any bottle or like a pill bottle or anything, if it's under 2 inches in diameter, it falls through the machinery, so it's not recyclable. So it becomes garbage. Nip bottles, there's glass ones and there's plastic ones. The plastic ones obviously would just go into our MSW, our garbage container. The glass ones we would separate out there and put in, we have a glass container for recycling. The glass container that we have goes to a company in Naugatuck that crushes all the glass and puts it in with concrete to reinforce concrete. And we've done just over 20 tons of glass in the past 9 months since we've had the container. We fill it up about every 6 weeks. And it's not mostly wine bottles like people
I was
think.
just gonna say.
Yeah. It's any food grade bottle, so.
Help the infrastructure.
And then also, Bob, we've already instituted this, but we do have residents, God bless them, that really take recycling to heart and cleaning up their particular piece of the road that they like. And we offer that service. You graciously do. You're gonna give them free bags, and they can come in and dump it right there for nothing.
Correct.
Two, right? 2 of those large bags you can take in for free?
Oh, yeah, but that's with the program. I mean,
Yeah.
the litter program that we have,
Oh,
that
the litter,
the
but-
mayor and I had spoken about, is they come in and we have clear bags that we issue to the people. We take their name and what area they're gonna do. When they bring it back, we just throw it away. I mean, we take it. Obviously, we want the clear bags to see what's in there, kind of get an idea of what kind of stuff's coming off the roads. It was instituted mainly because of the nip bottles, because there were so many nip bottles on the road. The mayor and I had spoken about it, and it's a good program. And one of the pluses that we do is, at the end of the year, we're gonna draw 2 of the people that participate in the program. They're gonna get a $100 gift card for the recycle center. So they'll be able to get rid of
Pretty good.
$100 worth of their other stuff. So they'd have $120 actually.
And kind of lastly, while we're bringing this in phases, it's because there's 11,000 households in New Milford. So to make sure that the funding is right, we're first going to start with primary residences, then we're going to see how many use that. Right now, the expectation is we're looking at the budget is that 11,000 people are gonna use it. We all know they're not going to. So we're gonna see what that adjustment is, and phase 2 would be the rental condo properties, and then third would be the multifamilies. But until we can get a handle on exactly who all's using this with that funding, we're gonna start with those that have a primary residence and own the property. Katie?
So first thing, Bob, what you're gonna do is you're gonna like keep track, so that if I called up and said, I have a coupon, a form I fill out, I have a couch, but I don't have any way to get it to you, you can come and get it, is that right? You know somebody who'll come and get it?
We already offer a pickup service at the recycle center, because when we first took over, obviously we looked, and you have people coming in U-Hauls and Home Depot trucks and everything else. By the time you go to Home Depot, you rent their truck, it's $19 for the first 75 minutes, and then it's $15 for every 5 minutes after that. So if you can get to your house and back with whatever you have to do in 75 minutes, it's a great deal. Typically, it's not. Then you have to refuel it and all that. I went and bought a trailer, and I used my pickup truck, and we schedule pickups for people to get their stuff to the recycle center, which is another reason it doesn't end up hopefully on the side of the road somewhere. And for this program, we're gonna discount that. Obviously, when I do it for a business, there's a profit built in. This is just gonna cover the cost of the equipment to go get it. And typically, I do it myself. We just ask that if everything's outside, or we can just back the truck right up to it. It's honestly not that hard to do. Been doing garbage for a very long time, so.
Right.
So that's gonna be part of the program too, for the people who can't. We've reached out to the mayor also and told him that if you have a senior, one of your constituents that is a senior and can't afford to get it done, we'll do it. It's
Right. It's like we always do. But one other question, because you mentioned you'll have a free nip bottle disposal thing. So in the recycling center or can recycling next between the liquor store and Big Y, I think I mentioned this to you. Do you think that there's some way we could speak to them about having some sort of container just for that? Because if they get into the stream, all they do is bollocks things up because they're too small. So what did you think about that? And then it could just be picked up, once a week, or I don't know, it depends on how many there are in there.
I mean, if it comes from there, where it comes from is not,
Right. But would it be better to have them come through the center? Because where do they go if they're just on the ground?
As I like to say to people, it's what's most convenient for you.
I see.
We can work with anything.
So if I come out of the liquor store, it's convenient for me just to throw it right there.
Yeah, if you drink it before you get to your car.
That's right.
Or I'm sorry, your walk home.
Any questions for Mr. Hannah?
Can folks bring things in if they don't have the recycle sticker on their car?
This program is sticker free. You do not have to have although we just surpassed, with the Sherman people, we just surpassed 5,000 stickered customers. Wow. So we have
That's a lot.
Quite a following of people. But yes, people, if they're coming in with that coupon, because it's gonna be an email program. They're gonna email us, and there's gonna be a fillable form on our website. And that person who fills out that form with their identification, which is their driver's license, has to come in with the item. Because we need to be able to check them with tax assessor's records. I have received from the tax assessor the grand list, so it's alphabetical and by street listing, so we're gonna be able to keep track of that. The reason we wanna do it by email is so when we do this program again, or we're able to expand it, we can just send them an email and say, hey, we're doing this again. More to be able to get it out there, because as much as you want to post it on Facebook, as much as you want to talk about it, as much as you want to put it in the newspaper or whatever, people just don't get it. So.
Great.
Any other questions for Mr. Hannah?
Bob, how much material are you seeing coming in from the Department of Public Works on a daily basis off the street trash?
Well, we track all town disposal. just for our own records. And we average about 4 times a week. And I'll tell you, at least 2 of those times is the recyclables that the Public Works picks up from the town buildings.
Are you seeing a lot of the nip bottles coming in from them?
No.
No, okay.
No.
They just stay on.
And and quite honestly, the bulky waste, because I was the manager for 2 years
Right,
down there,
right.
the bulky waste has dropped considerably from River Road, and
Right.
I'm not gonna mention the other places so
Yeah,
that
right.
people
Don't
don't
give
get
'em
any
ideas.
ideas. But it's gone down considerably. But every once in a while there'll be a chair on the side of the road or something. But it's actually a lot less than it used to be.
Good, good.
Any other questions?
No, good.
Kate,
No, I haven't, I asked him, I just am glad
do we
it
have a motion?
came up, I made a motion.
Okay,
And
and a
Chris
second,
seconded.
all right. All those in
Oh,
favor?
wait, I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna ask for discussion. I didn't have any more questions, but I did have
Sure.
some discussion on the issue. I mean, I think that this idea is really great. I almost see it as more of like ARPA funding and would push for the idea of, people who need to have it picked up, be fully compensated for the pickup. And I think this is a great idea for a once-a-year thing for residents who need it. I think it's a really interesting thing. However, I've read the legislation closely, and, I think that we're trying to decide how the 32,000, roughly 32, right, 16,000, 2 batches of it, how we're gonna spend this $32,000. And under the bill, alcohol wholesalers collect 5 cents surcharge, as we've talked about, for the nip bottles. And I think the narrow intention of the bill is that this funding go to municipalities to be used specifically for environmental issues, so more specifically for keeping these bottles out of the waterways, right? So I don't think that this is going to do much for that initiative, even though you've got the collection thing outside of the big Y and you're offering people to bring it in. I think the bulk of the 40,000, is it a year? 40,000 nip bottles in New Milford will still go out the window. And so I was looking around at what other towns have done with this money, and it seems that some towns are putting drain filters on, around the town so that they can capture the bottles.
Unfortunately, we couldn't do
We couldn't do
because of the tree canopies and all the debris that comes in,
the leaves and
the
such.
leaves,
So that doesn't work here. Another town hired a nonprofit agency to hire people with disabilities, and they go out and get paid and clean up these nip bottles. Other towns have hired, the sweepers to sweep them all up off the sides of the road. So I guess my concern is that this proposal does not fall within the confines of the law. So I would like New Milford to follow the law.
Randy, real quick, yeah, just, does what we're seeing here meet the criteria of the nip bottle?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
It's very broad,
It's broad,
Thank you.
yeah. I mean, I can read it.
We all receive.
Yeah, I mean, this is not gonna get the nip bottles out of the water stream, I guess is my point. So, I mean, I really like this proposal. I think it's something we should do. I think we should find the funding from another source. But I think this legislation was passed to clean up the nips out of our rivers and oceans. And
This is
that's why I
phase
would put it.
one, only first one. So we have others.
Right.
Because I don't think people are gonna stop drinking.
Right,
Bill.
which is why we have to find a way to clean them up, which is what this money is intended to do. So I think it's just going against the sort of, the purpose of the law.
I mean, to my way of thinking, it's to go to environmental cleanups, and this clearly helps clean up our town environmentally. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And this is an annual thing, so in terms of proposals that I think are in front of us that are reasonable, that we can do, this is the one I would support it. If next year we've got another one that maybe makes more sense or whatever, I'm willing to look at other options, but I think I would support this one in front of me.
Anyone?
And I would like to hear maybe 6 months out, what the response is,
Absolutely.
rather than waiting a full year, especially with ARPA funds maybe still available to do something bigger even, or in a different direction, but have the opportunity to possibly make a shift even in 6 months' time, because $32,000 is a lot of money. We need to make sure it's doing the right thing.
Definitely do a 6-month update.
The money is for 6 months. That's how they
Well,
calculated the
right.
amount of money that we're getting. It's
Right.
based on 6 months of the,
Right,
the
That's-
NIPs that are had in this town.
that's kind of what I thought.
And, yeah, I just make a comment that I think the idea that Bob has come up with helps anybody in this town who has something bulky that they need to have taken care of, and gives a discount, and in some cases would just make it completely free. And it wasn't that long ago that we had all of the things and more that are on this list on the side of the road. And some of them would be left right outside the Department of Public Works or any town building, because they felt, well, maybe, you know, they can take it from here.
River Road, in the river
Terrible,
itself.
terrible.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a start to help people so they can see it, they can be involved in it, those who want to be, and then we have, you know, people continue to drink, we'll have more money in
We
another
could
6
approve the
months.
same amount of funding for for ARPA funds tonight, and we could say, we want to focus this 16,000 on getting rid of the nip bottles, because I think if anyone walks down their road in New Milford, they will be, they see those nip bottles just in excess. So I don't think this is going to accomplish that task. That's
Probably not. If it was that easy, it would have been done before. So,
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Thank you.
Is Mary Jane, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, did you vote? Did you vote?
Mary Jane, are you for or against the motion?
I'm for it.
Thank you.
Moving on, item number 10, we have an update from our finance director, Greg.
Good evening, all, and welcome, Mr. Murphy. This is the August financial update. Upon closing fiscal year 22 and opening fiscal year 23, there was a glitch in the process. The operation failed, and the FY22 budget was uploaded to the system rather than the FY23 budget. I contacted Tyler, who is the parent company of Munis, to discuss solutions, of which there were two. I chose the less disruptive of the two options, which required a massive budget transfer be conducted on both the town and the Board of Ed sides. I prepared the files and did an upload that was successful. The auditors were made aware of this situation and endorsed this operation. Revenues. Revenues are at 46.7% of budget. On a straight line basis, you would expect them to be at 17%. Tax collections are at 54.7% of budget overall, with current taxes at 55.8%. Both interest income and stiff interest are running at 15.8% and 400% respectively. Market rates of return are rising, with stiff investments yielding 2.87% versus only 9 basis points at this time last year. Expenditures. Expenditures on a cash basis are 24% of budget. Prepaid categories such as pension, general insurance, debt payments, front-loaded appropriations to fire departments and ambulance, as well as seasonal departments like Parks and Rec, contribute to this nonconformity to straight line patterns and will smooth out over time. In summary, on a cash basis, revenues are $51,188,774.10, and expenditures are $17,143,945.10. $542,620.96, leaving the town with a positive cash flow of $33,646,153.14. Questions?
Any questions for our finance director? Chris?
On the issue with the upload of the old budget instead of the new, I know you said the auditors approve whatever workaround you did.
Right.
So we're running budget-wise and according to 23 today.
Right, but what you have to use as a baseline for comparison is the revised budget
Got it.
line,
Okay.
not the original budget
Got it.
line.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
And Greg,
Katie?
the issue, was it a software issue?
No,
Human?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion for our finance director? Thank you, Greg.
Good job.
Thanks, Greg.
Item number 11, from the mayor, economic development update.
Thank you, Katie. First, working with the Small Business Development Center, which is one of our offices is in Danbury. We're hosting a webinar, Understanding Your Customers, which will be on September 29th. We've posted this on our social outlets. I'll post it again tonight, where you can opt in. And basically, it's as if you built a small customer base. Now you need more customers to grow your business. You know you should be marketing and using social media, but your budget is tight and you don't want to waste your time and money on things that won't bring you more customers. And for small businesses, cash flow can be tight, especially with inflation the way that it is now. And now you've got the bond market driving interest rates from what used to be 2% to now 6, 7, 8%. The key is to articulate your value in your target market and craft the right message for your different clients. This workshop, you can create your value proposition, customer segments, ideal customers, how to find them, messaging that speaks to your target audience, and please get a chance to opt into this event, and it's free. From the Connecticut Small Business Association, they also are going to have a webinar on Tuesday, September 27th. Learn the best practices for creating a standalone landing page, a web page, which is very important nowadays for some of our businesses that are customer-centric. And it's designed to explain the benefits of a product or service that offer and convert visitors into leads. They'll cover how to develop and optimize a page, decide what content to include, create the offer and a call to action, and promote your landing page. Again, this will be on Tuesday, September 27th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and that's thank you to the Connecticut Small Business Association. Speaking of ARPA, a couple of updates. For our small business grants, we've been very, very successful in that. We've had 54 applications, 48 approvals so far. Thank you to the Economic Development Corporation for doing this. We still have approximately the ability to approve 25 more applications. So for those that are interested in applying, you can do so. Go to our page, www.milford.org. On the front page, you can see where there's ARPA funding available, or you can call our office at 860-355-6010. We can send you the application. For our ARPA nonprofits, again, very successful. We've had 22 approved applications. We have the ability to approve 3 more, which is pretty amazing. So we're very excited about that. There was some conjecture also on our Good Samaritan Fund and Hope Funds and the ability. And this is through our social services team. So first and foremost, for those that are watching or will be watching the recording, is that these are vetted through our social services department for those that are 60 years old or less. If you're above 60 years old, you then would apply for funding, which we approved here for ARPA, through our senior center. And they go through the same vetting process with their counselors that talk to our seniors. It is a process where we vet you out, take a look at your income, what your needs are. And the great thing about it is in doing it this way, we also can see what your real needs are, so that those individuals can get state funding, so it's not a one-time thing. They may have the ability to get electric payments paid, all this and whatnot. So currently, as of, we started this in May, I believe, 27th, she's telling me, date range is September 23rd, 2022. So far, they've had 5 applications and 5 approvals, no denials. The awards were $3,226, which is an average award of $640.07. And this is for the Good Samaritan Fund. And the categories that they've been able to use this for is electric, medical, and child-related expenses. The American Relief Funds for the Hope Fund, they've had 8 applications, 8 approvals, awards totaling $7,544.99. The average award there was $943.12. Categories of need included rent, past, current, and 1-month payments. The combined expenditures were close to $11,000. As we talked about before, the determination of the approvals is by committee within the Milford Social Services Department. Determinations are based on completion of the application, the financial impact, short-term and long-term due to COVID-19, the plan of action to move in a direction of self-sufficiency, which I believe is extremely important, and the average processing time goes from anywhere from 2 to 2.5 weeks, depending on how quickly those applicants get the required documents that social services would need. Demographic breakdown on the Arpa Good Samaritan Fund. The household size ranges from anywhere from 2 to 5. 9 adults, 7 children, 1 senior, 6 full-time students, 1 disabled. The racial ethnicity is 16 white, 1 black African American, 2 homeowners, 3 renters. For the American Relief Funds for the Hope Fund, the household size ranged from 2 to 6, 13 adults, 13 children, no seniors as we talked about before, because that would be going to the senior center, 13 full-time students, 3 disabled, 0 veterans. Racial ethnicity, 10 white, 14 Latino Hispanic, 1 Mideast, 1 East Asian, and 1 multiracial, 8 renters. So we're going to continue to work on trying to get more of those that are in need the opportunity to use these funds. But again, this is something that I believe our social services professionals that have degrees in this are well tuned in making sure that the money gets spent appropriately, and the ability to move people to where there may be a greater need and better funding sources to them. So I wanted to thank Ivana and her team as they continue to move forward this. At our next meeting, I'm going to give an update to the council from the senior center and what they've been doing with their funds for seniors, which is 60 and above. Any questions? Alex?
So, once again, how do people find out that this,
So-
if they don't know to go to social services and they need help,
Okay.
how do they know
So
what to do?
there's a whole list of ways.
Okay.
So first, social services. Second, the faith-based groups that talk about it, whether they're at their pulpit or whatnot. They also can see it in a Bordego. The key is to get it out as much as they can. They can see it on the website as well.
211,
211.
United Way, Family,
I
Faith,
understand, but I also,
Association of Religious Communities, like, you know, I could go on and on, but that's how it gets out. And I was just gonna say to the mayor that what we see to this point now, we're just in the fall, typically from now through the winter is when you will see more people needing help that they will be able to find. But I can tell you from personal experience that when you come in because you need some help for 1 month's rent, what they do is they look at your whole situation and not only help you find ways to maybe save money, but they also can offer programs from agencies, other nonprofits and agencies, which offer help that can take the $10, $20, $15, whatever it is every month to help them with something so they can use that money. A lot of people just don't know how to budget. that's one of the things. But there are, not being in that position, you know, it might seem like, how would they know? But they do know. They find out from their friends, from their neighbors, and there are many, many ways. I'm just one person, you know, in this town and in 7 towns that I handle, but I get lots and lots of calls from people asking about everything. I need an apartment, I can't pay my rent, I can't pay my doctor, I need a doctor, you know, all of these kinds of things. So I not only can tell them where they could call, most of them have tried that, but if they have never heard of it, people like myself, and I'm just one person in one agency. We have a lot of agencies in our town.
So I wonder if something to look at for ARPA funding might be a communication system, possibly by mail, to all communities, so that someone like myself who doesn't have to ask for help would be more aware, so I could also answer questions or direct people. But if more community members knew, if they're not thinking about it, they don't realize there's a need. So if everybody in town knew these were the resources available and these were the kinds of places people could go who needed help, more of us could help more people, and others who didn't know and didn't even know where to start would possibly have a mailer that could help them know where to go. Just a thought.
Where would those funds come from to do the mailer?
ARPA funds.
I also,
Spend ARPA funds to...
I'd also say, Alex,
Hey,
the
we-
newspapers lately have been,
I think that was my suggestion. Maybe we call
Consistently
Ivana
talking
in
about it.
and ask her what would her suggestion be to get the word out there. Maybe she's already doing it, but if it's an ad in the newspaper, that might help,
Well,
or
yeah.
a
So
postcard.
do you have evidence that people who need help don't know where to go?
Well, I think there's certainly a lot of people who were very surprised to hear that this was available when, in the last meeting, you went through it all and only, 3,000 of the 200,000 had been spent. That was quite a detail that went out, and people were like, oh, we didn't know that existed. So I think on
Those are
the
people who need
website.
help?
Yeah, so
Didn't-
people who
didn't know
need
it
help.
existed.
apply.
So people
Or
on the
can.
website, it's ARPA funds, you click on ARPA funds, but it doesn't say anything about where, it never said go to social services, and then in social services, it's kind of down. If you look at it, it's not very, very clear, right, on the website. It could be, I'm just saying, maybe there are ways to
Okay.
put it more up front and center for
I
people,
was just
that's all.
thinking, I was referring to the newspapers, whether you're reading a local, county, or national, or world newspaper. On the front page of late has been nothing, I'd say, for the last, well, for many months, but especially in the last 2 months, it's come to the forefront again, that people are in need of food, they are in need of help. We don't have enough housing for people. Today there was an article, you want a starter home? Forget it. There's no such thing. So your point is well taken, perhaps a more obvious
A press release,
button on,
We've
yes.
done press releases, but
Yeah.
it's up to the paper
Okay.
to decide whether or not they're going to print them or not. We do put them out all the time. Sometimes they give it to us, sometimes they're like, we don't have enough copy or classifieds to counter that, and they decide not to put that in.
But we could also say tonight, everybody that's watching us,
Spread the
right?
word.
Tell everybody that go down to the social service
available.
department or call the mayor's office and you can get some
And I
help.
think a good idea is to ask Ivana to come to the next meeting, to
let
see
her-
exactly how she is handling that and how the word gets spreaded to that community, the same with Jasmine, and what maybe we could or could not, obviously, trying to make things better. Is if someone has a better way of doing it, that's great. But also, as Katie said, too, is this is in the communities of your faith-based groups, they know, and a lot of people go to
Teachers.
them for services. You also have United Way, which is the biggest one, and you guys get lots and lots of phone calls when it comes
Yes,
to that
yes.
and where to get things.
And I know, just so, just chit-chat for a second here, we don't keep everybody all night, but as an example, hairdressers, I think we women know that salon workers hear a lot of the bad things, and good things, but bad things from people, and I've gotten calls from local salons, just asking, what can we do? This person, who will remain nameless, needs help, so, I just go down the list of try to get an idea what they want, and then give them, 211, anybody out there, there's 211ct.org. Instead of calling on the phone, you can go there, put in a zip code, you can do every zip code you want, and what you're looking for, and it'll pull up all the options for you. And, you know, you might have to make a few phone calls, but I agree with you. A better front page button, or I think, you know, we have a lot of COVID stuff highlighted in red, and it has kind of been there a while. Maybe we could do that and ask Ivana.
Just because people sitting around this table know things. Most people don't. And that's all I'm saying is, can we find a more obvious way to get information out to people?
One of the other unfortunate things, and I think Ivana would tell you this, is there are people who do know about it, and they need the kind of help that it's hard to take care of it all.
Right.
You know, if you're really underwater
No
with your
doubt.
house,
No
you know what I mean? So we do the best we can. But
Yeah.
yeah, so can we have Ivana come next
Absolutely.
meeting, maybe? That'd be great.
Staying on business for a few more
Yes.
moments. Building statistics continue to be strong. Talking with Bill Murphy, our building inspector, last week, we did 51 new applications, 100 inspections were done, 79 permits were issued. What's still a very strong pool of applications is solar. We're still seeing a lot of people putting solar on their rooftops. Also, some of the things we're looking at as well is the gym that's in the Biddle property where Staples is. They're continuing to work on that particular project as
People have
well.
asked me, when do you think that might open? Do they ever give you any?
They haven't given us a definitive time. They're still working in there, putting stuff in, but they haven't given a definitive yet on that. We're working on the RFP for a parking study for the downtown, so that will go out in the next couple of weeks. The EDC Commission is still working on the developer's guide for New Milford, and what that is, it's going to be an electronic and printed copy, so that those looking to invest in New Milford, there's going to be all sorts of information built in there that makes the process a little bit easier for those developers that want to contact, whether it be our land use boards or whether it be here in town, whether it be the Economic Development Corporation.
We still
or
have the DST meetings, right?
Sure do.
And that,
Or
maybe people
Department
don't know about
Services
that.
team. And also talking to our state and federal representatives if they need some additional assistance in moving or relocating their business here to New Milford. So that's what I got. Any questions? Hillary?
There's one that ties economic development and ARPA together. The funds that we allocated for the sewer hookup fee, have we had any success? Has there been any hookup? I mean, what is the result, or is it too
We've
little?
got about 4 applications that are going to be pending, but they're waiting for some of their groundwork, design work to get done. So once that's happening, they've already taken the application, they just haven't processed them yet.
Okay.
But there's going to be a demand for that, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely a line. Okay, item 11B. I'd like to move that we approve the return of $42,634 from the Harrybrook Arpa project. And we're returning it, I wasn't sure, where's it returning it to?
We go back to the ARPA
fund?
account.
Okay, back to the ARPA fund.
And so this was funding.
Second.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
So this is funding, when they did the actual, when it was brought forward to the town council, they had a quote for that, which is why we came up with that funding. Actually, it was much less than anticipated, which is great news. So the Harrybrook Park gave us back the money in a check for this amount, and I'm asking the council that we put it back in so that we can repurpose those funds for ARPA-related requests.
Mayor, would there be a specific area, or just, where is it gonna go?
Into the ARPA fund.
Just a general?
Yep.
So we could then separate it out
Correct.
wherever we want? Okay.
Correct.
Going in the pot.
Back in the
Great.
pot.
Good.
So I know that there are a lot of records that have to be kept with regard to the spending of the ARPA money. So have we seen anybody's records, not just this one, but anybody else's? Do we know what that looks like? Will they go to those, will they go, for example, to Harrybrook to look at their receipts, or would they come to the town to look, if you were audited?
So if we were audited, they would be looking at the request that was given, the bid process that was here. We gave them the funding, so then they would come back. They've given us all the receipts and everything, so we do have them for a
Okay.
file. and then that they would look at it and see that it made sense and that, you know, the expenditure was lower than the appropriation of the tune of $42,634.
So this is already in the works for a number
Absolutely.
of expenditures,
Yep.
because the
And
money's
then
been
we
going
have
for a while.
say, ARPA business grants, right? So
Right.
we have them come in, they make their application, they give us tax returns. They also give us a certificate that they are in business currently. We take a look at that. The Economic Development Corporation takes a look, make sure that there's a revenue loss, either in 2020, 2021. You know, we look at the 990s on the nonprofits. So there's always, we always put things aside. And I can tell you, this is way more than a lot of towns do. But we want to make sure, in case we're ever audited, that we have the backup material to make sure that it's done.
Why I'm asking.
For those that are done through the Hope Fund and everything else, those are pretty much sequestered to the social services, because we want to make sure that that data is kept in a private manner. So those things are kind of sequestered with
Yeah.
social services and the senior center.
Great.
Do they have a time frame where they have to spend the money, like all the police and the fire department, all that money that went to those departments?
So police pretty much
They're waiting
spent.
on parts and they're waiting on.
No, so police pretty much their money spent.
It's spent, okay.
Yeah, fire department's pretty close, and a couple items on back order.
Yeah.
But they're pretty close to have spent all their money when it comes to
There's
that
still quite a
capital.
bit of time, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, but
Yeah.
they had
No, actually,
requested the things they wanted,
Right.
and they wanted them
And they could get
now,
them,
and they
right.
could get them, yeah.
Okay, great.
So we have
Any-
a motion and a
We
second.
have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 11C, I'd like to move on a previous discussion concerning the allocation of $17,500 to Veteran Services, which would be our American Legion, for wheelchairs, crutches, and medical devices.
And you can thank you, Chris, and you can see the request. We talked about this months prior, and then it never made it towards the actual approval and the ARPA process, where it would go to the Board of Finance and then to a town meeting. So as you can see here, the request from the American Legion and from Commander McBriarty. As you can see, it's for all these medical devices, wheelchairs, and crutches, which are much needed for our veterans. Any discussion on the motion?
I'll just put an ad on that because I am with the American Legion. All that material that we're going to buy for the $17,500 is all hospital beds, as you say, crutches, walkers, et cetera. That not only goes out to the veteran, but any member of his family that has a problem, his mother, his sister, brother, immediate family. They can use those same things. Now, we have a lot of equipment out right now, but it's all probably 20, 30 years old.
Right.
And it's literally, it's falling apart. We have crutches with just rotted out arm plate things on them. It's bad. So as soon as we knew about the ARPA funds, we put a request in. I think the original one got lost somewhere, so we came back with this one. But it's desperately needed. We have a lot of veterans that are now getting bedridden.
You know, Paul, I just recently had a call from somebody who needed a wheelchair. Do you in the Legion or in the VFW or do you ever consider coming to a nonprofit or going through social services with the person or sending them there?
We do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that. We do have a wheelchair coming in through VFW that's available in case you need it right now. But as soon as we get the ARPA funds, we're going to go ahead and spend the whole $17.5 and have all that equipment at the American Legion, so it will be available.
So my question is, why doesn't the U.S. government Veteran Services provide for these veterans?
They do.
I'm not denying.
Is that a rhetorical question, or?
Yeah, kind of, because this has been a burr under my saddle for a long, long time. My dad served, and I know some things, but
There's some veterans, I'm going to talk about the American Legion veteran, okay? Because those are people who haven't gone into a war zone. I belong to both units. But American Legion veteran, never being in a war zone, may not have any disability. Therefore, he doesn't qualify for any VA benefits.
Fortunate, but that's the
If
truth.
that person goes to Castle Point or West Haven, VA, they will tell him, you need to go see Medicare or Medicaid. You don't qualify.
That's what I wanted you to say. Thank you.
It's bad. And I fight it all the time. You've got veterans that have never gone into a war zone that did 20 years in the service. And he doesn't qualify for anything.
Terrible.
Right, I know.
So that's the individual that we're trying to help out. And to help his invalid wife or his daughter or child that's got a disability, that takes money that he would be using. He can use it for food and rent or house payment or whatever. So it's desperately needed.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everybody.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Cheers. Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Thank you.